Imagine standing at your own father's wedding. Uninvited. Unwanted. And hearing him raise a glass to toast, while sneering at you in front of every guest. She's nothing but a bastard child. The room laughs. The shame burns. Then he shows off his real daughter, born from his second wife. Perfect. Polished. Adored. But when her eyes lock on yours, her smile vanishes. She screams. Her voice shakes the hall. Oh my God, she is my. What she reveals changes everything. My name is Isolde, I'm 27 years old, and until last week, I thought I had made peace with being invisible to my father. 4 years I was the secret. The quiet embarrassment. The daughter he never wanted to admit existed. My mother raised me alone, strong as steel, while he paraded through life, marrying, divorcing, and reinventing himself for whatever crowd he needed to impress. I grew up watching his life from the sidelines. Birthday parties I wasn't invited to. Christmas dinners I only saw through photos. Vacations with his real family, while my mother and I scraped by on leftovers. I told myself I didn't care. That his absence was a blessing. That I didn't need him. But lies have a way of crumbling when you hear the truth said out loud. And I heard it at his wedding. I wasn't invited, of course. I showed up on my own, dressed in my mother's old gown, standing at the edge of the reception hall like a ghost. I wanted to see him one last time. To prove to myself that I could face him without breaking. The room glittered with chandeliers, laughter spilling like champagne. He stood at the center, his arm around his new bride, grinning like the king of the world. Then he raised his glass. And his voice cut through the music. Tonight, I celebrate not just a marriage, but family. My real family. Not the mistakes of the past. Not the bastard child who carries my name but none of my blood's worth. The laughter echoed. Glasses clinked. Guests chuckled at his cruelty like it was a joke. My blood ran cold. My chest caved in. He was talking about me. And he didn't care who knew. For a second, I almost fled. Almost bolted from that hall with my head down. But then, I saw her. The girl standing beside him. The one he called his real daughter. Tall, elegant, glowing in her champagne dress. His pride and joy. She smiled at the crowd, waved, basked in the attention, until her eyes landed on me. And in that instant, the color drained from her face. Her hand shook. The glass she held slipped and shattered on the floor. She screamed, voice slicing the air. Oh my God, she is my. The room erupted. Gasps. Whispers. Chairs scraping. Every head turned toward me. And in that frozen moment I knew. The truth I had been denied for decades was about to explode. The scream silenced the hall. Her voice echoed against marble walls, against glittering chandeliers. Every guest froze mid-sip, mid-laugh, their eyes snapping between the bride's daughter and me. She stumbled backward, pointing a trembling finger. She is my sister. The words cracked the air like lightning. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My father's face turned scarlet. His new bride gripped his arm, confusion flashing in her eyes. I stood rooted, breath shallow, my pulse thundering in my ears. Sister? She wasn't supposed to know me. She wasn't supposed to see me. But her words were clear, undeniable. She's my sister, she repeated louder now, tears brimming in her eyes. You told me she was gone. That she didn't exist. That she wasn't real. The hall erupted into chaos. Guests whispering. Cameras flashing. Phones rising to capture the spectacle. I wanted to run. To escape the suffocating heat of judgment pressing in from every angle. But her eyes, wide, pleading, pinned me to the floor. Why did you lie to me? She shouted, turning to our father. Why did you tell me she was nothing? His face twisted, rage battling with panic. Enough, he barked. You don't know what you're saying. But it was too late. The truth was out. The girl, the one paraded as perfect, flawless, legitimate, was not blind to reality anymore. She knew I existed. She knew I wasn't a ghost. And for the first time, I wasn't alone. He tried to recover, raising his voice to drown the whispers. She doesn't matter. She never mattered. This is my daughter. He pointed to the girl, voice trembling. And she is the only one who counts. But the girl shook her head violently. No. You don't get to erase her. Her words were daggers, each one slicing through his facade. The bride looked between us, horror dawning. Guests leaned closer, hungry for scandal. And me? I finally found my voice. "I didn't come here to ruin your night," I said, my voice sharp but steady. "I came because I was tired of pretending I didn't exist. But if this is who you are, the man who denies his own blood, then let everyone here see the truth." The hall buzzed like a hive struck open. My father's glare could have burned through steel. "Get out," he hissed low and venomous. "You don't belong here." But before I could move, the girl, my sister, stepped toward me. "No," she said firmly. "She stays." The crowd gasped again. The bride's lips parted in shock. For the first time, someone inside his golden world had chosen me. And that choice was about to tear his kingdom apart. The room fractured into chaos. Guests whispered in clusters, their eyes darting between me and the girl who now stood beside me. She clutched my hand suddenly, her grip firm and trembling all at once. "You're my sister," she repeated, as if saying it louder would make it undeniable. Father slammed his glass onto the table, the sharp crack silencing the noise. His face was thunder. "Enough of this spectacle. She is not your sister. She is nothing." The word nothing echoed through me. But the girl, my sister, stood her ground. "You lied to me all these years. You told me she wasn't real. You erased her." "Why?" His jaw tightened, eyes scanning the crowd, desperate to maintain control. "She is a mistake. A shadow from the past. And she has no place here." The bride shifted uncomfortably, pulling her daughter closer. But the girl shook her mother's hand off and stepped forward again. "I want answers," she demanded. "Why did you hide her from me?" All eyes were on him. For the first time in his life, he didn't look powerful. He looked cornered. I should have spoken, should have poured out the years of pain he caused, but I couldn't. My throat locked. So instead, I let the silence accuse him. And in that silence, I saw the cracks forming in his perfect image. After the confrontation, I slipped outside, my heart hammering. The cold night air wrapped around me like a cloak. I thought she'd stay inside, basking in the warmth of her mother and the guests. But then I heard footsteps. She appeared at my side, her champagne dress shimmering in the moonlight. Her eyes searched mine, raw and vulnerable. "Is it true?" she whispered. "Are you really my sister?" I nodded slowly. "Yes. I'm the daughter he left behind. The one he never wanted." Her breath hitched. She pressed a hand to her chest, as though the truth was too heavy to hold. "He told me you were a mistake. That Mom didn't want you. That you disappeared." I swallowed hard. "I never disappeared. I was just erased." Her face crumpled. "I've hated you for years. Hated the ghost of you. And now, seeing you, it's like hating myself." Tears blurred my vision. "You didn't hate me. You hated the lies he fed you." She covered her face with her hands. "Why would he do this to us? To both of us?" The answer came sharp, bitter. Because he wanted control. Because one daughter was enough for his perfect story. And I didn't fit it. She looked at me then, determination hardening her features. "Then we write our own story," she whispered. For the first time that night, I felt the tiniest spark of hope. The wedding reception had dissolved into chaos. What was supposed to be my father's flawless evening, the crown jewel of his ego, had turned into a public spectacle. Guests whispered in tight circles, others excused themselves, unwilling to stay in the blast radius of family drama this ugly. The bride was pale, her smile brittle as glass. She tugged at my father's arm, urging him to calm down, but he was far beyond calm. His perfect world was cracking. And for a man like him, cracks were unacceptable. He stormed across the hall, seizing my sister by the wrist. His voice dropped low, poisonous, but still loud enough for people to hear. "You will forget this nonsense. Do you understand me? She," his eyes slashed toward me, "does not exist. She never existed." My sister yanked her hand free, her voice steady but trembling with fury. "You lied to me all these years. And now you want me to lie too." The guests leaned closer, hanging on every word. Phones were already out, recording. Father's face flushed dark. "I am your father. You will obey me." Her chin lifted, defiance shining in her eyes. A father doesn't erase his children. A coward does. The hall gasped in unison, the words hanging sharp in the air. He reeled back as if she had struck him. His lips curled into a snarl. Ungrateful little. I stepped forward before he could finish, planting myself between them. My heart pounded, but my voice was clear, slicing through the noise. Enough. Every eye turned to me. You've spent my entire life trying to erase me, pretending I didn't exist. And maybe you thought I would stay quiet forever. But not anymore. Not tonight. I looked at my sister, her hand trembling in mine. You can't silence me. And you can't silence her. The truth is out. The bride tried to intervene, her voice shrill, desperate to salvage the night. Please, let's not do this here. But it was too late. The damage was irreversible. Whispers spread like wildfire. He denied his own child. He hid her. What else has he lied about? For the first time, my father looked cornered. His empire of control, built on secrets and appearances, was slipping through his fingers. He turned to the guests, his voice shaking with forced laughter. This is ridiculous. She's nothing more than a bitter girl clinging to the past. But even as he spoke, I saw the doubt in the guests' eyes. The suspicion. The disgust. His mask was slipping. And standing there, hand in hand with my sister, I realized something I had never felt before. He wasn't the powerful one anymore. We were. And he knew it. The ballroom was no longer a wedding. It was a battleground. Guests stood frozen, caught between the allure of scandal and the discomfort of watching a family unravel. Every phone was up now, cameras glowing like tiny spotlights, ensuring the world beyond those walls would soon witness everything. My father's jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth would shatter. His voice thundered, desperate to reclaim control. Listen to me, all of you. She is not my daughter. She is a mistake. A shadow. A parasite clinging to my name. She means nothing. His words sliced the air. Gasps erupted. My sister flinched, but she didn't let go of my hand. I felt my chest tighten. The same words I'd heard whispered my whole life were now shouted in front of an audience. Bastard. Mistake. Nothing. But this time, instead of shrinking, I straightened my back. And then, my sister's voice rang out. Stop lying. The room snapped back to her. She was trembling, but her voice carried like fire. She's not your mistake. She's your daughter. And she's my sister. You can't deny it anymore. My father spun on her, rage twisting his face. You don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I do, she shouted. I saw the letters. The ones you hid in Mom's drawer. Letters to her mother. To Isolde's mother. My heart stopped. Letters? She turned to me, tears streaking her face. He knew about you. He wrote to her. He promised he would take care of you. And then he abandoned her. Abandoned you. The crowd gasped again, the tension snapping like a whip. I could barely breathe. My father's face drained of color, the truth clawing its way into the open. He lunged forward, grabbing her wrist again, his voice dropping into a low snarl. You say one more word, Anne. Or what? I cut in, stepping forward, my voice sharper than I thought possible. You'll erase her too? Like you tried to erase me? The cameras zoomed closer. The whispers rose into a storm. Look at him, I said, my voice steady, carrying over the crowd. The man who calls himself a father. He abandoned one daughter. He lied to the other. He pretends to be a king but rules with nothing but fear. My sister broke free from his grip and stood beside me, her voice trembling but strong. You can't hide us anymore. The room erupted in claps and shouts. Not for him, but for us. For the truth that had finally clawed free. My father looked around, his empire of lies crumbling in real time. His face collapsed under the weight of disgrace. For the first time he had no words. And I realized something as I stood there, hand in hand with the sister I'd never known. He hadn't destroyed me. He had destroyed himself. And the world was watching. The ballroom emptied in waves. Guests slipped out quietly, their murmurs sharp and heavy. Some shot me sympathetic looks. Others glanced at my father with open disgust. Phones stayed raised until the very last moment. His humiliation captured, immortalized, ready to spread. The music had stopped. The cake sat untouched. The wedding was over, but the war had been won. Not by him. By us. I stood in the center of the wreckage, my sister's hand still clutched in mine. The chandelier lights gleamed above us, but for once, I didn't feel small beneath them. My father slumped into a chair, his head in his hands. His bride whispered furiously at him, her perfect smile shattered. For a man who built his empire on appearances, there was no recovering from this. Isolde, my sister whispered, her voice breaking me from the scene. I'm sorry. I should have known. I should have asked questions years ago. Tears pricked my eyes, but I shook my head. It wasn't your fault. He built a cage of lies for both of us. You just escaped sooner than I did. She pulled me into a sudden, fierce hug. For the first time, I felt what I had been denied my whole life. A sister's embrace. Not pity. Not shame. Just belonging. Later, outside beneath the cold night sky, the air felt sharper, cleaner. We walked together down the marble steps, the sounds of shouting still echoing from the hall behind us. Where do you go now? She asked softly. I exhaled, watching my breath swirl in the dark. Forward. Away from him. Away from his shadow. She nodded, her eyes glistening. Then let me go with you. I don't want to live in his world anymore. Her words hit me like sunlight after years of rain. I smiled for the first time that night. Then we'll build our own. We stood in silence, two daughters finally united. Not by his power, but in spite of it. The fallout came quickly. The videos went viral. Headlines screamed. Businessman denies his own child at wedding. Investors backed out of deals. Reputation crumbled overnight. He tried damage control, but the world had seen too much. And worse for him, the two women he thought he controlled had walked away together. For once, he was the one left behind. Weeks later, I visited my mother's grave. I placed flowers down gently, my sister by my side. Mom, I whispered, my throat tight. He tried to erase me. But the truth survived. And I survived too. I glanced at my sister, who nodded through her tears. We survived. And in that moment, I felt it, the weight of years lifting, replaced by something fierce and unbreakable. Hope. Final closing line. He called me a bastard, but in the end, it wasn't me who was nothing, it was him.